The next presentation is by Team Nemmadi.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. Now I would like to invite Mr. R. Suresha. He is a Bachelor of Engineering with first class distinction from the BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore, and did his MBA later. He has total of 36 years of experience, started his career with industrial projects and later executed all types of infrastructure projects like dams, canals, bridges, roads, aqueducts and tunnels. Later, moved on to the execution of residential and commercial buildings, dealing with planning, contracts, execution and project management. Worked at Mr. N. Prakash Construction Management Consultant as a general manager handling both residential and commercial building projects. Presently, he is the COO of Nemmadi, handling construction project, free delivery inspection, and also head of School of Construction Management Excellence, who train engineering students as well as working professionals. Welcome to you, sir.
I would like to call Sridhar to introduce Mr. Uday Simha Prakash.
Good afternoon, everyone. Now it's time to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Uday Simha Prakash. He is the CEO and co-founder of Nemmadi.in and Executive Director of N. Prakash Construction Project Management Consultant Private Limited. He is an IT industry veteran and is currently making a splash in the quality in construction field. He has extensive insight gained on the job while growing a knowledge-based organization with extensive interest in process quality and efficiency. Uday has helped spearhead the company's growth by introducing electric, innovative and strategic operations. Nemmadi offers the complete package for quality in construction across the whole chain, not only home buyers and resident welfare association, but also third-party quality audits for builders during any point in the construction life cycle of a building, a plethora of boutique services under one roof. He has a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, a dual master's of science degree in mechanical engineering and computer science. He has completed the management program on entrepreneurs and family businesses from Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. After which, out of sheer interest, he also completed course in advanced corporate finance from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. He is a multi-domain professional with a varied educational background, buttressed with multicultural experiences in the USA, Europe, and India. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We're going to be talking about an encompassing idea. I think a lot of people know about it. We've had people talk about STP, WTP, livability, EVs, plants, rainwater harvesting, water harvesting, etc. So what we are talking about is the audit that will help you understand the status of your project. So it is an audit, a technical audit that we'll perform that will help you understand what your project status is. It is not only a visual audit, but it is a technical audit that is based on the National Building Code and the Bureau of Indian Standards. It is not subjective in nature, it is very objective. So a lot of people ask us, why do we need to conduct an audit? Even though we are purchasing a property from tier 1 builders. We always say it's good to trust, but better to verify. Verify what has been given to you. Understand what you've got. Have you got what you've been promised? Are you paying for what you've got? Right? That's what you need to understand. What does this whole audit entail? Depending on the size of your project, the audit can be anywhere between a couple of weeks to 6 months. Prestige Falcon City took us 6 months to audit. It's a huge project, 43 odd acres, right? So we did a lot of things. What was audited will be covered by Mr. Suresha to talk about the scope of work. So what it covers is basically divided into your civil and your MEP. In civil, we'll be looking at your workmanship quality audit, your dampness root cause analysis, and your cracks. So your cracks can be for various reasons. Your dampness can be for various reasons. So what we do is we go to the root cause of this and understand what the problem is and give you a technical report. This will then help you communicate with the builder or whoever else is responsible to get the works done. Then we also take care of your MEP audit. In MEP, it's split into MEP quality audit, MEP design audit, documentation audit, and your advisory. So what all of this is will be explained in detail, but I'm giving you an overall overarching view so that you can understand the scope of work. The documentation audit is basic and in-depth, right? So this is what is generally covered. If there is somebody who needs a more in-depth audit, for example, if somebody wants a legal verification, then we reach out to our ecosystem partners. If somebody wants a specialized service with STP or WTP, we reach out to them and get their service also. What we do is something like a general practitioner, where we come and understand what the problem is prima facie. Then, if there are more problems in depth, then we will suggest that you go to a specialist to get that problem sorted. I'll let Mr. Suresha now take over and talk to you about the various definitions of the scope.
Thank you, Uday. I'll just take you through some of the interesting problems we come across whenever we do the audit. So that will give an idea of what exactly we do and to what depth we go. This is a photograph of a common site in one of the shafts. It looks neat and nice, but can you trace there is some basic flaw in this? So if I just, because this, why I displayed is, many times they ask, we also go around, we also see what is there, what is the big thing you can do. So if you look at this, on the top, the basic bolt which is fixed, the ladder, it is not only rusted, the bolt itself is not fixed properly. So anybody who's trying to use the ladder is going to risk his life. So when our engineers go and check in depth, they find out such things. Here also there is a neatly done playground area where there is a mast that is fixed. So we can't find out. Children are playing, everybody is happy about it. But when we go with a different perspective. So when you look at this, the basic, the bottom base plates that has been fixed, the bolts are already rusted and has not been covered with a proper grout. On one fine day, may not happen today, one fine day when children are playing, that is going to collapse or fall down. So these are the things we find out in audit. And this is a diesel generator chimney stack, which is a common site. So it looks neat, well done. But when we go, for our eyes, we see certain different things. So this is a welding that has been done very, very shabbily. You can call it as a tack welding, you know. So very shabbily. Not only due to wind load, the whole stack will fall down, it will also injure people who are nearby. So that is the audit what we do for. And this is another scene from a basement or any roof. Usually only where technical people can understand this. It just looks like some painting defect or some plastering defect. But actually what has happened is a cold joint. During construction, one layer of concrete has been laid and then the second layer is done the next day. So that time there is what is known as a cold joint. And in many cases we have seen after a few period of time, the whole thing falls down like a layer in parota, you know. So it is not properly stuck, it will fall down. So that we see and we point out. And this is a scene from a basement, very common. People think that it's quite dark and nobody goes there. But when we check with a thermal camera, we can find the dampness. This is how it looks. So this is superimposed. This is the original place. Through a thermal camera, this is what is seen. And that exactly points out where the dampness is and which will help us to do the root cause analysis. How does the dampness come and what is the solution for it? We do give solution to that.
The bluer spots are where it's very wet, right? So what's blue and what's red is the dry spot. So you can see what's blue, it's completely wet. Can you go one slide back? So you can't really make out, but you can see on the right side, you have wet spots, but then with the thermographic camera, you can actually identify that it's much cooler than the other spots. Then in conjunction with a moisture meter, we confirm that it is moisture. Because you can have a cool spot because of an AC vent. Right? If something is blowing, it could be an AC vent. But then how do you make sure that it's water? So we have a moisture meter to confirm that it is actually water. Over to you,
And
sir.
what I would like to add is, not everybody can find out. You require a lot of experience. There is experience what matters, and the thermographic camera and the moisture meter, they are the supplemental tools for which we confirm, and then they'll allow us to make further analysis. So it's the basic experience. This is a scene from we can't identify the projects here. So this was housing a huge overhead tank. So for our wise, when we go, see, we find certain things here. If you look at the posts which are supporting the huge tank, there is more than about 10 or 12,000 liters of water. If you look at the post, what we see is its post is rusted. But exactly when you look at the base plate, the whole plate itself is eccentrically posted. Someday it will collapse. The whole 12,000 liters of water tank on the top will collapse one day. So these are the things we find out when we go. And I think no need to explain. Somebody has fabricated a ladder first, and the plumbing person has come later. I think it's a firefighting person because the red pipe, and he has done his job and gone. And God help the person who tries to climb this ladder. And this is the, what I talked to you so far was the civil engineering audit, and here are some of the examples of MEP, what we do. So this is a case of a misguiding, like there is a softener provided there, but when our engineers went and looked at there, they have provided a neat bypass line. The softener is totally bypassed. People feel that it is softened, but it has been directly going on. So only for our watchful eyes, such things come into notice. And this is a case of a flushing transfer pump. There are 3 beautifully looking pumps there, but when you checked in the panel board, 2 of them are disconnected. Only one is working. And this is another case of a jockey pump where this is the, for those who are not very well aware. So in case of any fire, there is a sprinkler opening up or a hydrant open. The first pump which kicks in to boost the pressure is the jockey pump. In this particular case, it was kept in manual mode. So God forbid if there is a fire, who will have patience or time or the presence of mind to rush to the basement and switch on the pump. And when we investigated, what we found was some systems were leaking. So because of the leak, on its own it was coming on. To avoid that getting to, instead of stopping the leakage, they have switched it off to manual mode and happily sitting there. And this is a classic case of gross negligence. When you opened and checked, it's a fire hydrant. The water wheel itself is missing. God forbid, the fire, you just open, nothing can be done. And this is a case of a very poor workmanship. So even this is a earthing strip which is coming from the top of the building and going in. Then there's done a joint here. If you look at that, in case of a lightning strike, the huge amount of current is going to be passed in this to the earth. And look at the joint that has been done. There is no joint at all in one place. Another is there's a small tack welding, which is going to melt away in case of a lightning strike. It will not serve any purpose. Whole building will be in danger of electrocution. And this is another case where the same thing, the earthing strip from, they have been lap welded, but all tack welded. Poor workmanship. People think that it is all safe, well done, and then unless somebody goes into all this in depth and checks, you will not be able to find out.
These are not something that's visible. You have to go down to the basement. You have to open a lot of locked doors, go inside and check. So it is a part of the interest of the person to go in and check. And not many people want to go into places which is damp, dark, and full of cobwebs. But it is something that needs to be done. So that's when we find out all these things. And if it's not done, it is detrimental to the whole society as a whole.
So this is another very classic case of negligence. There are 3 generators working. One of the generators is not pumping out the power that is required. That what happens is that instead of pumping out the power, it is drawing the power and working like a prime mover. Needless to explain that if it's not attended to immediately, one of the generators, the coil is going to be burnt out. And this is a case where, in case of a fire door, there is a push bar that has to be provided. So in case of a fire and the whole room is full of smoke, when people try to rush out, they will not have time or vision to look at the handle. So the bar is provided. When the bar is missing, it's a very dangerous situation. And this is a clear-cut violation. I think from morning we have been talking. Our engineers could make out somebody was stealthily leaving out the untreated water to the public drain. I think,
Untreated
needless to
sewage.
say, it's a criminal offense.
IPC?
277 and 278. Indian Penal Code. Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, I think they're going to change it now. Okay. This is the case of a common case where a basement water is leaking. People are more worried because only their cars are getting spoiled. But the actual problem is when the water enters into a concrete structure, it will corrode the reinforcement. The iron, which is there as a reinforcement, when it corrodes, the ferrous oxide which is formed is higher in volume. When that happens, it expands and it peels out the concrete. That's what is seen on the top. We call it as spalling. Once it happens, there is a further erosion, further spalling, and that leads to a vicious circle of corrosion, and finally the building life comes down. The durability of the building comes down drastically, doesn't happen immediately. Maybe about 10 or 15 years later, you'll have to go for a huge, expensive rehabilitation measure, which may not work properly. So that is the long-term effect of it. And apart from this, we also do MEP design audit, in which case we check whether the systems are okay or not, whether they're adequate for your requirement, for the total occupancy of the apartment complex, whether serving the purpose or not. So we have been doing capacity checks, that is a design audit for STP, transformer, UG sump, and DG set. So whether, for example, the STP, what Aditya was talking in the morning, whether for the given apartment size, as per the National Building Code, what is the guidelines we use, and then draw out a water chart and find out whether the provided STP is of sufficient capacity or not. In one particular case, I remember, when we did, they had provided two STPs, one for the grey water, one for the black water. Grey water is bath water, black water is the sewage. So they had given two separate STPs. The builder had defined in a particular manner, but when we checked up, for the grey water it was sufficient, for the black water it was insufficient. But he tried to portray that combining both of them, it is sufficient. But the lines are totally different. It will not serve the purpose. So this was a finding. And many cases we find the underground sump, it has to, as per National Building Code, it has to serve for 1.5 days storage. So many times it is insufficient. It will not be of capacity of less than 1.5 days storage. And DG sets, I think all of you know, they promise something many times. One of the DG set itself is not installed. So whatever the power backup they have promised will not be there. Many cases we find out that. And all the time I've been showing you all the bad pictures. There are apartment complexes where the good work has also been done. We thought it was a righteous duty to bring it to your notice. See, this is a very well maintained fire pump room, spick and span. So well painted, everything is marked. And if you look at the top corner, that's a cable tray. You can't even make out that is a cable tray. So well maintained. And this is a view from the basement where all the pipelines are well supported, well laid, and everything is marked. Everything is done to the perfection. And this is a water treatment plant within an STP. If you look at the flooring, you can see the reflection. So well maintained water plant. And this is an STP, again, very well maintained. If you look at the left side, you can feel the reflection. So myself and Uday had an opportunity to shoot a video there. So 1 hour we stayed, absolutely no problem with any stink and anything. It was as good as any normal room. Who was the STP operator of this plant? I can't reveal that, sorry.
When we go, we understand, and it's not done over one day, right? So we do it over a period of time. So it's very difficult for somebody to try to pull wool over our eyes for such a long period of time. And we have our team. You've seen our team. They're constantly there. So we are able to identify the problems. And at the end of the day, we also start talking to the people who are providing the service. So you're able to dig out information. So for example, illa sir, nanne pump otogbitide ivattu hosada hakidare sir. You find out, and then that comes out in the report.
And this is a case of a very well maintained expansion joint in a podium. If you look at the fixed a metal plate, this is how it has to be done, so that the expansion joints usually are the problematic places where the water leaks in and it drips. So this is the right way of doing things. So we thought we should just to show you all that. And we also do the documentation audit. As Uday was already explained, there is the two levels. One is the basic, another is the in-depth. In basic, we guide the association, what all the documents they should obtain and keep it for safekeeping. And in in-depth, we also check whether the documents given are the right documents, because the title says something, inside there will be so many other things, whether it contains all the relevant information. That's the in-depth documentation audit. And this is how we guide them. We give a grid of what all documents are obtained, not obtained, provided, so that at every stage they are guided. And this, we also give a cost impact chart. So how things have been, when you execute, what is the impact of the monetary impact of that. And we also do the AMC advisory. AMC, normally people give things for annual maintenance contract, and they don't know what is happening. We jokingly call it as annual money collection. They simply come and collect money and go, you don't know what exactly they're doing. And we do verify whether the right things have been done or not. And over to Uday, you'll take it.
So the annual money collection is, it all happens because when there's a checkbox, thank you. When there's a checkbox, it signifies something, right? When somebody puts check across the checkbox. A lot of the management committee members either don't understand or don't have the time or just don't care. So once that happens, a person will come, we assume that the work is being done and you go away. But when we come and check, we need to ask questions. When we start asking questions, we get information. And that's when we understand whether the AMC is actually doing what it's supposed to do. That's when we started providing this. And we didn't start doing this from day zero. Over a period of time, 40 odd associations, we learn along the way. We see what has gone wrong. We see what people suffer from the most, and then we add that along. So this is some data points for you to understand the scope, the depth of work that we do. If we were to take an apartment association and bring it down to a common denominator of 300 units. 300 units, this is what it looks like. It's about 1,300 problems in MEP and about 3,300 problems in civil. Right? And as the gentleman was saying, for their project, they had 65 gigabytes of data that we gave them in terms of report. So it's a very detailed report that you get. It is not subjective. It is all very objective in nature. Yeah, I think we'll stop now for paucity of time. I just wanted to take you through a lot of the projects that we've done. But so Prestige Falcon City, Prestige Song of the South, Prestige Garden Bay, Prestige Woods, Brigade Buena Vista, Divyashri, Purva, Assets, Mahindra Wind Chimes, Peninsula Heights, Club Meadows, Lake Veranda, Purva. Yeah, so this can go on and on and on. Yeah, questions? I think Mr. Manoj has to catch a train and we have to leave this place in 15 minutes. So we don't want to cut into his time. One or two questions, please, and then we'll be happy to talk to you.
One quick question. Wonderful work. You have covered more than 40, 50 odd projects where you have
Thank you.
done across various developers.
That's correct.
So having understood all these developers and the quality they are going to develop, and you are analyzing them whether they are doing good job or bad job. So now do you feel that you are in a position to rank these developers in the Bangalore?
You're going to get us into...
No, it will help the home buyers, fresh buyers. If I am looking for a new property.
We've been through this discussion. We've talked about it a lot. It's like a rating agency is what you're talking about, right? I'll tell you why this may be difficult, but we have enough data points. We have more than 14 million data points to be able to do this. We have over 700 gigabytes of photographs. So there's a huge amount of data that we have for us to do this. The problem is, each builder has got not the same contractor for every project. You may have different subcontractors even within the project. Somebody may leave, somebody may not leave. You may have different project managers. So even if I was to rate, then they will always come back and say, this is why, that is why, and all that stuff. So we don't want to get into that. We are trying to see if we can come up with a more calculated way of doing it, which does not take into consideration subjectivity into the matter, but we are working on it. But thank you for bringing it out. Yes, sir.
This is very good when you're taking a handover. But however, my question is pertaining to existing flats, and there is MC changeover, handover. Now, they wouldn't, maybe they have not done a proper audit or something like that. But how do we, can we utilize the services to understand what is the condition of our apartment now? What needs to be done to rectify and all of that? Because sometimes some MCs are lazy, they don't want to do anything, and they just hand it over, dump it. Now, can we use these kind of services to understand how better our building can be improved?
In short, most definitely. We also do what is called a health checkup. So this is not only for new apartment associations, but as anybody would need a body health checkup every 5 years, or if a project is 5 years or 10 years, or 15 or 20 years, depending on the age of your project, there's a different level of audit that we perform. So we'll be happy to do that. We're happy to talk to you, and we can help you in that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Manoj.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful presentation. I would like to call Tahir and Rafiq to hand over the sapling to Mr. Uday, Simha, Prakash, and R. Suresha. ಅವ್ರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ